Welcome back to another video. So behind me I've got my broken 34, which, as you would have seen in the last video, has blown a head gasket, unfortunately. So tonight what I'm going to be doing is just stripping off as much kind of basic stuff that I can from the top of the motor, and tomorrow I'll be getting the car towed to a friend's place, and we'll be getting the motor pulled right out and then put the shell aside. With how things are going, it'll probably be a head gasket and studs I do on the motor, and that'll probably be the most of it, and obviously get the head machined and the block machined so it's all flat. So yeah, pretty much going to pull all this kind of top stuff off. So pull off this kind of crossover pipe and all the piping to the turbo and start undoing that kind of stuff. Obviously the head's going to have to come up out of the way, so pull off covers, disconnect hoses, drain coolant, drain water, do all that kind of stuff, and yeah, we'll get stuck into it.
Yeah. Unknown brain. Marvin Divine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool.
Okay, so I've got all the coil packs out, and I've left the spark plugs in just because the holes are recessed on these. You can stuff rags in there and everything, but I still don't want to run the risk of anything dropping down there, at least until I'm 110% sure this is definitely the head gasket. So what I've done is, by leaving all the spark plugs in, there's still going to be compression inside the motor, and leaving the cap off on the radiator, disconnected the fuel. I'm just going to crank it over and get Ashley to watch and see if anything's bubbling out of the radiator. Obviously any bubbles and that air from the cylinder is actually escaping through the head gasket and into the cooling system. So we'll check all that out, and then we're going to head down the road and grab something to eat. We need some dinner. It's got late pretty quick. I had James pop around, James Noland, super cool dude. Brought around his compression tester and we did a bit of a test, all reading the same kind of numbers at 125, which everyone's probably like, oh, 125 is bad, but every gauge is going to be different. I'm just happy that they're all the same compression. It hasn't got to that bad kind of stage, so I don't think we're going to get any bubbles in here, but we will we'll see how we go. Bubbles?
I don't so much know if it was bubbles, but it was coming up, like it's come up further than what it was.
So everyone's got mixed opinions on this, but what I'm going to be doing, just because I don't know how long this is going to go back together, it could take a week, it could take 2 weeks, it could take a month. I actually don't know at this point. So what I'm going to be doing is putting all the separate parts into their own little sandwich bags, labeling what isn't obvious. So obviously like coil packs and their bolts can all go in one bag. Cool, you know what they are, don't have to worry about them. But when I do stuff like, say, timing cover bolts or something like that, cover won't fit in the bag, so label the bolt so I know what everything is, just so I know where it all goes back together, just so I don't have random bits and bobs lying around. It takes a bit longer to do it this way, but when everything's going to be sitting around for a long time, I just want to make sure I know where it all goes back together. So, like I've said, core packs are out. I'm going to keep cracking on and pulling off this intercooler piping and all that kind of section down the front there. So crossover pipe, blow off valve, what have we got? Pod, airflow meter, bits and pieces. There's a lot of stuff to pull off. So I'm going to keep cracking on. I'll just set up a few time lapses here and there just so you can see what I'm doing, just so you have a rough idea as well if you have to go through this process. I'm not going to do too much more tonight. I'm currently getting dinner cooked, so yeah. Crack on.
So they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
I know that I gotta stay away from all your games. Yeah, I know that I found somebody else to love me one day. You'll realize the grass ain't greener on the other side. No, you did me dirty for the last time, so now I gotta say goodbye.
Yeah, my life is lovely now, I'm focused on me. You said you were about to die, I guess the car is on E. But see, I ain't even tripping, cause I just chose to believe that somebody gon' come around.
So, a little bit of an update. As you would have seen me pulling off all these bits and pieces, I've got most of the intercooler piping off, the crossover pipes all out of the way, and I've been pulling bits and pieces off the turbo. So I've inspected the turbo. There's a little bit of play, forwards and backwards plays. There's nothing left to right, but there's a fair bit pushing it in and out. So I may get that reconditioned, I may not. I don't know yet. It all depends on how much everything costs and availability and how long everything's going to take and all that kind of process, because ideally I want to get this done as soon as possible, just so I can get the car back on the road, because this is my daily driver. It's the only car I've currently got. So in saying that, what I'm going to do now is just keep cracking on, pulling off random bits and pieces and whatnot. So probably start pulling off maybe some turbo stuff and heat shields and all that type of stuff, because all has to come off anyway. The more I pull off now, the better, so may as well keep going with it. I think I'll pull off the heat shield, pull off the CAS and the front cover and a few little hoses here and there. So that will do me for tonight. And that will pretty much be the end of the video. So we'll keep cracking on with what we're doing tonight, and then by the next video the car would have been moved to a proper shed where we have a hoist and can put the car up and kind of go over everything and, you know, pull the exhaust off, pull the gearbox out, do all that kind of fun stuff. So yeah, we'll crack on for now.
Watching the ocean with you, baby, up with a slow motion crew, and we up in our clouds when people change, but not us. And we just chillin', kicking it, kissed by the sun. Could be soaked to the skin in the mall soon. I know she got the good vibes when seasons change, but we're the same. Even if I lost all my money, the zero runs deep, honey, and I don't need to speak a single word. You got me holding, holding. Even if my jokes aren't funny, my tongue tied up on it, and I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding, holding. 'Cause you got me holding, holding. Will turn without us, and I'll be killing time like I might be a cartoon. Take it in real life like haiku. I know we got the good vibes when pieces fall right into place. Even if I lost all my money, the zero runs deep, honey, and I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding, holding. Even if my jokes aren't funny, my tongue tied up on it, and I don't need to speak a single word, 'cause you got me holding, holding. 'Cause you got me holding, holding. 'Cause you got me holding. Play me like a bass guitar, simmer down a mesh